it's been a month, almost a month. It's been a couple weeks since we started exploring recovery. And so, Matt, you take us away. What did you discover?
So I wrote a couple of posts for Everybody Has a Brain this month, and they were usually focused. Yeah, they were mostly focused on work and my feelings of bubbling kind of anxiety throughout this past year. So I actually started working for myself last year, and it was right before the presidential elections in the States, and I'm American, and so I was paying attention to it pretty heavily throughout the entire year. The thing was, I really wanted to start my own thing that year, and I wasn't ready to let something like that dictate kind of what I wanted to do in my life. There were so many feelings that I used to have that cropped back up that I hadn't had since I was a teenager. And so, going through middle school and high school, and it was like heavy feelings of depression, like things that I would just think like I'm worthless. I shouldn't be doing this right now. Maybe I should look for a job. like like all the things that uh, were kind of making me feel like that just were really hard to deal with the first, I would say, like few months of working for myself. Because yeah, when you are working for yourself, you don't have somebody to tell you to get to the office at 8 o'clock in the morning. You have to do that yourself. You have to do really basic things that kind of a job would force you to do. Um, and it could be that, it could be what time, what type of work do you want to do? What clients should you go after? And
You could do anything. You're totally
you could do,
free, and we think that's
yeah,
going to
you
be
could,
amazing.
you think it could be amazing. A lot of people think it is, but it's also really difficult because you have to kind of like do five jobs in one. Kind of getting used to all that weight on my shoulders was a hard thing to think about when I'm thinking about, will the world be okay? Uh, will I be okay after this new president's in the White House? And so I did a lot of thinking, and that was the first approach, was to understand. Okay, I'm feeling this way. Um, I know I can deal with these things better now. Like I'm older. I've experimented with like different ways to make myself my days be better. One of those things was reading. So I mentioned like checking Facebook and Twitter when the election happened. That was really dangerous for me after the results, because that was not a good place to go if I was already feeling so anxious and so terrible about what happened, and it was an instant um, portal kind of into my past anxieties of depression, and like I didn't want to open that door much more during that time. So I figured the best way was to distance myself a bit from that, and just really concentrate on reading books or reading magazines in the morning. And they could be about the election. They could be about things that were related to that issue. But I found that for some reason, like reading other people's reactions was was really dangerous for me. Because yeah, for some reason it would be like reading somebody pour out their heart or pour out their, like, oh my God, I feel like, the world's going to end. And like, but seeing that like 50 times or 100 times in your feed is like, that's not good. You're just you're just taking all that in, and it's harder.
Yeah,
It's harder
my
to think for yourself.
yeah, if you because think about that now, because if you saw that now, would it affect you as much?
I think it would, but I think the difference now is knowing that I have some things that I can use to take a step back and think about them. I think that's one of the most valuable kind of lessons I guess I learned this year, was um, not depending on social media or not depending on digital things to bring me happiness or joy. And I discovered kind of the origins of those anxieties, and I wrote a bit about what I did to deal with them. I recognize that it's a recurring issue, that recovery for those anxieties for me is not, I do these things and it's instantly cured and I never have to notice it again. It's something that constantly comes back, and so some of the things that I do that I've found that work for me, they're like easily repeatable things, or things that bring me some sort of happiness throughout the day.
What does make you happy?
I think they're really basic things.
Yeah.
Like that's why a lot of these things that I do now, like eating well, and that can be making a healthy meal for breakfast every day. Though it's not just that I do it once a week and I call it good and say, oh, that was a good Monday and healthy day. Bye bye anxiety. You know, it's not like that.
What do you mean? That's not all it takes? I thought like I just had to eat one healthy meal and post it on Instagram and like bye bye mental health challenges.
I wish it was like that. I used to totally write that off. I used to think that breakfast was just kind of a very short break to get my workday started, and I would not spend time doing anything. You know, it would be like I ate just a bowl of cereal for like I would say like every morning for like 6-7 years. Yeah, at least.
Did you use a spoon or just tip it up? And just...
Spoon first, and then tipping later. So now I make an oatmeal bowl, and that's from your recipe actually. Mark has this like amazing oatmeal recipe, and I started with that, and then I like customized things to what I would like. So I put a lot of fruit in it that I like, and I made it more about, you know, spending time to make something nice in the morning. They don't always work too. So like sometimes I'll have, you know, the really healthy bowl of oatmeal during the day, and I'll do exercise, and I'll read, and I'll do all those things. And sometimes there's days where that have come back where like those feelings of depression come back and feelings of anxiety come back. And I would say like the best that those things do is kind of like deaden the blow. They just make it like livable. So it's not like I don't want to go outside today. So I've never kind of like gone back to the state of like crying on my couch, but I still have the feelings in my head, if that makes sense.
I think that's the key thing to remember with anything we do, like anything we would label as like a healthy activity or something, like making breakfast, exercising, doing all of that kind of stuff. It's because I think sometimes you'll see people talking about these things on forums or on the internet, on Twitter, as like, oh, you're just going to do this thing and then it's going to solve the feelings.
Yeah.
But that's not at all what it's about. It's about actually doing that thing, and the feelings are going to come. And then you have this thing that you can go and do while you're having that experience. In a lot of ways, it's the little things that we change around the activity that are actually helpful, not the activity itself. Because yeah, it could be anything. It's the ability to go and do something that we care about while having whatever feeling our brains throw at us. Because, and I think this is so key, because it's about being able to go and engage with things and change things. Mm-hmm. Not just be like, oh, okay, the world is falling apart, and we've a lot of people have just become aware we have really unhealthy communities, and this is creating problems in our democracy. But I'm just going to go exercise and forget about it all. That it's not about that. It's that this, getting these consistent practices in our lives frees us up to have these feelings and then go and make a change in our communities.
Yeah.
And even, get involved in conversations online or something like that, because it's not, we're not going to be overwhelmed. So it's like learning how to swim. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It doesn't mean we have to avoid the water. It's now actually when we see somebody drowning, we can actually get in the water too, and we don't have to worry about getting pulled under. Or if it's just that the water is really choppy, we don't have to worry about getting overwhelmed by the water. Congratulations on the swimming skills.
Thanks. Yeah, and I think one more thing I would add is that I do volunteer at a community organization here in Vancouver, and that's also helped quite a bit from the standpoint of like doing something in my community, that's kind of affecting the change that I want to see, because I know that things like what happened during the election are a bit too big to tackle, by myself, and I'm not in the States anymore, so I can't magically go down there and decide to fix everything by myself, even if I wanted to. I had volunteered for them before the election happened, so I was about 4 years of volunteering with them. I took like a little break because of what happened, because I did feel like I was also not in a state to help a community organization if I wasn't well myself, and that's important to, I think, to know as well. I don't know, if you aren't able to help mentally or physically, it's probably not best that you throw yourself into a community organization and help others. At least since
Exactly. If you're drowning, it's really difficult, and it's often we want to, like, I'm drowning. I know how difficult drowning
I
is.
know.
I'm gonna go help that other person who's drowning, but you just are drowning a lot.
Yeah, so I think
Yeah.
also taking that time to figure out kind of the best ways I could recover myself first was also helpful for that. It's really nice to know that I have what I wrote in my post was like a recovery toolbox of things that I can pick and choose from to apply to my days if I'm feeling like somewhat anxious, or like some feelings are coming back up. And even if they aren't coming up, like just making them routine and making them something that I repeat every day
Exactly.
just helps so much.
Check out Matt's post, because that was a really great toolbox. Like, now everybody's heard about the experience that toolbox came from. But check it out over on everybodyasabrain.com.